In 1994, a woman walked into an emergency room and within minutes, multiple hospital staff members began collapsing around her. The toxic lady of Riverside became one of the most disturbing medical mysteries ever recorded, and she's just the beginning. What you're about to discover are real medical cases, so disturbing and unexplained that they've haunted doctors for decades. These aren't urban legends or horror stories. These are documented mysteries that prove our understanding of the human body is far more limited than we'd like to believe. But before we dive in, a quick heads up. Some of these stories deal with intense physical and psychological suffering. They're not easy to hear, and they might hit close to home. So viewer discretion is strongly advised. As always, remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to stay up to date with the channel. All right, let's start with a condition that's been called a living nightmare. A mystery that makes your skin crawl. Literally. Morgellons disease. If you've never heard of it, consider yourself lucky. Those who have, they don't forget it. It begins with an itch. Not the kind you can scratch away, but a deep, relentless sensation, like something's moving under your skin. Then comes the welts. Red, raw, angry sores that won't heal. And then, the fibers. Tiny threads, black, white, blue, emerging from the wounds. Patients swear they're real. They'll show you photos, videos, even pluck the fibers out and store them in jars. But when doctors look, they see nothing. No fibers, no parasites. Just a patient, desperate for answers, labeled as delusional. The story of Morgellons starts in 2002, when a South Carolina mother named Mary Tao noticed something horrifying on her 2-year-old son. His skin was breaking out in sores, and he kept complaining of bugs crawling beneath it. When she examined him, she found strange, colorful fibers protruding from the lesions. Doctors dismissed it. Eczema, allergies, maybe a psychological issue. But Mary wasn't convinced. She named the condition Morgellons, after a 17th century medical text describing similar symptoms. She started a foundation, rallied other sufferers, and pushed for answers. By the mid-2000s, thousands of people were reporting the same thing: itching, sores, and those unexplainable fibers. Here's where it gets murky. The medical community doesn't recognize Morgellons as a distinct disease. In 2012, the CDC conducted a study on 115 patients. Their findings? No evidence of parasites, infections, or environmental toxins. The fibers? Likely cotton, lint, or skin debris. Their conclusion leaned toward delusional parasitosis, a psychological condition where people believe they're infested with bugs. But for those suffering, this explanation feels like a slap in the face. They're not imagining the pain. The sores are real. The fibers, they've got photos. So what's going on? Theories abound. Some researchers speculate Morgellons could be linked to Lyme disease, with the fibers being a byproduct of bacterial infection. Others point to environmental factors, pesticides, microplastics, or even mold. There's even a fringe theory tying it to nanotechnology or government experiments, though that's, let's say, less grounded. What's haunting is the human toll. Patients describe being shunned by doctors, labeled as crazy, or driven to self-harm in a desperate attempt to dig out whatever's tormenting them. Online forums are filled with stories. People losing jobs, families, their sanity. One sufferer wrote, "I feel like I'm living in a horror movie, and no one believes the monster is real." So is Morgellons a physical disease we haven't cracked yet, or a manifestation of the mind's darkest corners? The truth is, we don't know. And that uncertainty, it's what makes Morgellons so unsettling. It's a reminder that our bodies can turn against us in ways we can't explain. And sometimes, no one's coming to help. Strasbourg, 1518. A woman named Frau Trophea steps into the street and starts to dance. Not gracefully, not joyfully, but compulsively, as if possessed. She doesn't stop. Hours turn into days. Soon, others join her. Dozens, then hundreds, dancing without rest, their bodies pushed to the brink. Some collapse. Some die. This isn't a festival. This is the dancing plague of 1518, one of history's strangest medical mysteries. It began in July in what's now modern-day France. Frau Troffea's dance wasn't a choice. It was as if her body had a mind of its own. Within a week, 34 others were dancing uncontrollably. By the end of the month, estimates say up to 400 people were caught in the frenzy. Historical records describe chaos. People dancing until their feet bled, until their hearts gave out. Local authorities were baffled. They tried everything: music to soothe the dancers, prayers, even exorcisms. Nothing worked. By the time it ended, dozens were dead. What could cause an entire town to lose control of their bodies? One theory points to ergotism. Ergot is a fungus that grows on rye, producing a chemical similar to LSD. Ingested, it can cause hallucinations, convulsions, and involuntary movements. The problem? Ergot poisoning usually kills quickly, and the dancing plague lasted weeks. Plus, not everyone in Strasbourg ate the same bread. Another theory is mass hysteria, a psychological phenomenon where stress or fear spreads like a virus, manifesting in physical symptoms. Europe in 1518 was a powder keg. Plagues, famines, and religious upheaval could have pushed people to a breaking point. But here's the chilling part. This wasn't a one-off. Similar outbreaks happened across Europe in the Middle Ages. Dancing manias in Germany, Italy, even Switzerland. Some lasted days, others months. Were they all ergot? All hysteria? Or something else entirely? One account from Strasbourg mentions dancers claiming they couldn't stop, as if something was pulling them. Religious explanations at the time pointed to Saint Vitus, a saint believed to curse sinners with uncontrollable movement. Even today, we don't fully understand what happened. It's like a glitch in the human condition, a moment where our bodies betrayed us en masse. The dancing plague feels like a fever dream from another era, but it raises questions we can't ignore. What pushes a body, or a community, to its breaking point? Could something like this happen again? In a world of pandemics and social media, where fear spreads faster than ever, maybe we're not as far from 1518 as we might think. Before we continue on, if you are enjoying the video so far, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you don't like it, let me know down in the comments. Your support truly means everything. Alright, back to the video. Fast forward to 2016, Havana, Cuba. A US diplomat wakes up to a sound, a piercing metallic screech like a fork dragged across glass. Then the symptoms hit: crippling headaches, nausea, dizziness, memory loss. Soon, others report the same thing. They call it Havana syndrome, and it's not just a medical mystery, it's a geopolitical firestorm. Because whatever's causing it might not be an accident. It started with a handful of diplomats at the US Embassy. They described hearing strange noises, sometimes directional, like the sound was following them. Others felt pressure in their heads, like an invisible force. MRIs showed abnormalities resembling traumatic brain injury, but there was no impact, no accident. By 2017, Canada pulled its diplomats from Havana, and the US reduced its staff. Reports kept coming: China, Russia, even Washington, D.C. Over 200 cases worldwide, all with similar symptoms: hearing loss, cognitive fog, and a sense that something had invaded their bodies. Theories exploded. The leading one? Directed energy weapons like microwaves, capable of targeting individuals from a distance. The idea sounds like science fiction, but declassified documents confirm the US has researched such technology since the Cold War. Russia and China have too. Could this be a covert attack? Other theories point to pesticides, mass psychogenic illness, or even natural phenomena like cricket sounds amplified by architecture. But none fully explain the brain changes or the specificity of the attacks. In 2023, a U.S. intelligence report said foreign adversaries were very unlikely to be responsible, but didn't rule it out. That ambiguity? It's fuel for paranoia. For the victims, the mystery is personal. Many can't work anymore. Some struggle to remember basic tasks. One diplomat described it as losing a piece of yourself. And the lack of answers, it's maddening. If this is a weapon, who's wielding it? If it's not, why are only certain people affected? Havana syndrome blurs the line between science and conspiracy, leaving us to wonder, are we safe in our own minds? Cyclic vomiting syndrome, or CVS, doesn't sound as dramatic as a dancing plague or a mysterious weapon. But for those who live with it, it's a relentless nightmare. Imagine waking up one day, vomiting uncontrollably for hours, maybe days. No warning, no cause. It stops, then comes back weeks or months later. You're trapped in a cycle and no one can tell you why. CVS often starts in childhood, though adults can develop it too. Episodes hit like a storm. Nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, sometimes so severe patients need IV fluids to survive. Between episodes, they're fine, which makes it even harder to diagnose. Doctors have ruled out obvious culprits like food poisoning or ulcers. Theories point to mitochondrial dysfunction, where the body's energy production goes haywire, or issues with the autonomic nervous system. Stress, certain foods, even menstrual cycles can trigger it. But the root cause? Still a black box. The impact is brutal. Kids miss school. Adults lose jobs. One patient described it as living with a ticking time bomb. Treatments like anti-nausea drugs or antidepressants help some, but there's no cure. The mystery lies in why it strikes and why it's so unpredictable. Is it genetic? Neurological? Something we haven't even considered? For now, sufferers are left to endure, hoping the next cycle doesn't steal more of their lives. Picture this. You wake up after a headache, a stroke, or a car accident, and you sound different. Your voice, your accent, it's not yours. You're speaking fluently, but in a way you've never spoken before. A Texan sounding French. A Brit sounding Chinese. This is foreign accent syndrome, and it's as bizarre as it sounds. Foreign accent syndrome, or FAS, is rare. Only about 100 cases documented since the 1940s. It's usually triggered by brain trauma, strokes, or migraines. The theory is that damage to speech centers in the brain alters pitch, timing, or pronunciation, making someone sound like they're from another country. But here's the kicker. Patients don't actually speak the foreign language, they just sound like they do, and they can't control it. The psychological toll is immense. Imagine your identity tied to your voice, then losing it overnight. People accuse you of faking it. Friends stop calling. One woman, a lifelong American, was asked if she was secretly British after a stroke. There's no cure, though speech therapy helps some. The mystery is why the brain rewires in such a specific, almost theatrical way. Is it purely neurological, or is the mind playing a trick we don't understand? These mysteries are reminders of just how little we know about ourselves, our bodies, our minds. They're complex machines, and sometimes they break in ways that defy explanation. Science pushes forward, but the answers stay just out of reach. And maybe that's the scariest part. The unknown isn't just out there, it's inside us. What do you think? Are these conditions the edge of medical science or something stranger? Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, then check out these videos on the screen now. If you have a topic suggestion, please send it to the email in the description. And as always, remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And remember, The only thing stranger than these stories is missing out on our next video.